don't be that guy. The guy that's about to make a stupid comment, don't do it. Hey guys, Greg here, Bone Tactical. Today we're going to talk about modern drone defense. Now, modern drone defense is probably not what you think it is. This is going to be another Bone Tactical hot take. We're bringing you a different angle. We're going to back it up with evidence. And before I really just get super crazy into it, excuse me if I'm a little sweaty. Just went out here on the mountain bike route that I do. We're going to really share some cutting edge and new stuff in this one that a lot of people probably haven't considered, and really nobody else so far on social outlets or on the internet is going to be sharing. So definitely rank up the comment section on this one. Let me know right now, comment below if you think you know what the best drone defense is. Modern drone defense isn't what you think it is. This isn't crazy Joe Biden's all you need is a shotgun. In order to define modern drone defense, we need to really quickly define modern drone warfare. It is very high tech, many times artificial intelligence assisted or even guided. They are precision strikes which are highly effective and highly devastating as well. Today, I'm going to teach you how to survive modern drone warfare. I'm going to try something a little different today. I'm going to use some stats I wrote down, so I made some notes. Hope you guys don't mind that I'm using some notes on this one. I really want to make sure I get these stats right. I want to present you the best video possible. Sometimes on my cigar story videos and stuff like that, I get off onto a little bit of a tangent. I really get on side streets and whatnot and talk about old stories and things. I'll maybe do a little story, a few story here and there in this one, but I'm really going to try and stay to my notes and really help you guys that don't want to watch a 3-hour video very quickly and concisely give you solid, tangible, usable, valuable information that will help you and your family and your loved ones survive a drone strike. So let's really take this huge idea of drone warfare and filter it down, specify it into what it really is, so we can actually use statistics to show what the best defensive options are for you. Everybody wants to talk about Ukraine. Let's talk about Ukraine really quickly. Ukraine versus Russia, every nation is trying to get a couple little ideas in there or field some stuff. You know, U.S. sending over some weapons, seeing how they work, foreign fighters, definitely guys coming in there that maybe we don't know are there from different nations and throwing their hat in the ring, trying to figure some stuff out. Why? Because this is where modern warfare is being developed right now on the battlefield, on the front lines. Now, how important are drones in Ukraine and the Ukraine-Russia conflict? 80% of victories right now in that conflict are drone-related. So between recon, which is critical, always has been, kamikaze strikes, which we're hearing a lot about, and then even something we don't hear much about, AI-guided tactics, because Sun Tzu now is no longer just in a book in the art of war. It now looks like ChatGPT, a general on the battlefield that might not want to even let his own fellow soldiers know for pride issues, telling you, hey, I'm going to move these things around, do this. What's a battle strategy? And yes, 80% of battle strategies are tied to drones. And I would say there's a good bit probably now tied to artificial intelligence as well. Russia recently sent 728 plus Shahed 136 kamikaze drones in an attack, all at the same time, as a full system network, AI assisted with decoys and even potential missile support for the drone strike. Absolute game changer on the battlefield, and not Joe Biden's shotgun defense applicable. These aren't just flashy toys anymore, guys. Militants in Pakistan are now using quadcopters to deliver payloads of explosives, really just homemade stuff with ball bearings and having devastating results. We can see these elements with low organization and low education can still be highly successful with even what would be considered to the lower end of the spectrum, low tech in the high tech world of drone strikes. This is pretty simple stuff. They're doing it and it's easy to do. In Mexico, the cartels are using drones. It's been probably almost 10 years since I've personally had my first personal experience with seeing the cartels in Mexico using drones for payload capacity, either taking drugs from Mexico to the US or vice versa. Now they're using payload capacity drones either to take an explosive device to a person, kamikaze style, and assassinate someone, or a payload capable drone if you think about it, which is even scarier because you might not even know the drone's way up high, dropping the payload, and then it could be like a mortar round or a grenade, some kind of explosive device that would explode on impact. The drone could fly back home, and depending on your level of tech, you might not even know where that mortar round came from. So lots of creative and devious ways these drones are being used right now. This is no longer the stuff of sci-fi movies. It's being done on a mass scale. It's scalable, and it's relatively cheap for any kind of a real organization. Just like all the other videos I produce, I have a very different perspective and ability to see things and show things from a perspective that is not what your average soldier or your Navy SEAL guy, whoever you might, some colonel, lieutenant colonel of the Marine Corps that's going to be telling you, hey, use a shotgun, this is why. I'm actually able to look at things from a perspective that can be what it would really be like for a person who is not in the military, who might be a civilian, who might have to deal with a drone strike with limited resources. So when these guys are telling you, you have to have all this high-tech stuff, let's be realistic about our capacity as individuals and how much money high-tech drone defense costs. We're talking millions of dollars in most cases for a complete network, if not billions of dollars for a complete network of drone defense type stuff. And then these drone defense items that we're talking about are becoming obsolete at an extremely high rate because from the standpoint of weaponizing drones, drone technology is increasing so fast that it's making drone defense technology obsolete in real time. That's not the way to go for the civilian who has a budget. Something real interesting that we can look at to prove my point here, or to give you an idea of where I'm going with this and how I came to this conclusion. Check out the Russian oligarchs, for example. They're dropping like flies right now. They're being assassinated. They got these high-speed operators as bodyguards, intricate multi-million, multi-billion-dollar security systems and protocols, and they're still being taken out with really relatively no difficulty. So they might not be using drones to take those guys out, but that's a great example of why the average person, and stay tuned, I will tell you how to survive a drone strike. I'm just first telling you how not to do it. But it's just a great example of why an average person like us is not going to want to go the route of trying to spend millions or billions of dollars, or even trying to get into tech not knowing how much it's going to cost and then just wasting your money. Don't waste your money is the first tip here of what not to do for drone defense. So sure, you'll see Marine Corps lieutenant colonels saying, give me a shotgun and I'll shoot a drone down. You'll see Russian, ex-force leaders saying that, hey, I wish I would have rather had a shotgun than a jammer. And that's when jammers fail. That's when you're looking at taking out maybe one drone at a time. So this shotgun drone defense idea, where does it come from? It comes from these guys being on the battlefield, not having the proper equipment, and then having a bunch of soldiers. If you have every single soldier with a shotgun and they can all take out a drone, and you've got 100 guys, you could take out 100 drones. It does not really apply to you, okay? So even if there's 5 or 10 drones, you're still not going to want to be ideally trying to square off against a drone, especially if it's a kamikaze drone. All it has to do is get close enough to you to detonate, all right? So why are these military leaders saying that shotguns are the idea? Well, they consider their troops in a military role, always has been a situation where low-level military grunts are going to be considered disposable type soldiers, okay? And you don't want to be looking at your logic from that point of view, like, hey, it doesn't matter if they kill 3 of me because there's 20 other of me ready to go with a shotgun and we can maybe survive the drone strike. That's not the idea here. You guys are looking at how to survive you. And how many of you are there? There's only one of you, right? On the other end of the spectrum, what are people who actually value their lives using for drone defense? What does the president have set up of the United States for drone defense? What are these rich, super powerful guys, how are they setting up their drone defense? Well, they're going all high tech. Jammers, laser cannons, microwave emissions, EMP is the way that they're looking into. How can we shut these drone strikes down en masse, okay? But you guys don't have that capability. It's just technology that is on the forefront, very expensive, and extremely levels of engineering and capacity to build this stuff that is very advanced. If it's even legal, it could get an individual more attention from the NSA or something like that. If you have all this stuff, what are you doing all this for? it's just not worth it. It's not the way to look into it. So what can we do for drone defense ourselves, okay? And it's not high tech and it's not shotguns, it's low tech. It's low tech. It's an old school principle that we've almost forgot about, and it's the real gray man theory. Now, before I continue into that and what else will work, let me say that shotguns are not a bad thing, and definitely I'm a huge proponent of shotguns. I'm just not telling you to go out and try and take out a drone swarm with a shotgun. So there's three very general things that will work for drone defense, that'll keep you safe from a drone attack, how to survive a drone attack. The real gray man theory, utilizing it properly in this sense of the term, old school bunkers or armor, and having a plan, which having a plan is part of the real gray man theory anyway, but let's talk it through. Let's look at World War II, for example. World War II, we had air raid sirens went off, everybody had a place to go. That's kind of what we should be looking more into here, even if we have to do it on our own. If you're in an area where a drone strike might occur, then the best thing to do would be finding proper cover. Now, what does that mean? Let me really quickly walk you through what types of structures can survive a drone attack. If it's a small FPV drone from an unorganized militia element, or maybe a Mexican cartel or Gaza Strip type deal, Middle East, Africa, then what you're gonna need at minimum would be like 18 to 24 inches of steel reinforced concrete, minimum. For larger drones like the Starhead 136 that we talked about earlier, you're actually gonna want like 4 to 6 feet of steel reinforced concrete. So find out if there's a bunker in your area or something really strong, but concrete is not the only bunker. I'll make it a little bit more streamlined towards you guys, and we'll also talk about why you probably don't need to worry about a Starhead 136 if you're using and utilizing the real gray man theory. So stay tuned so you can learn how to survive a drone attack. Hardened bunkers or layered bunkers use sand, gravel, concrete, or steel plates all in the construction. This really helps a lot. Different materials, because one material like a hardened steel will stop a lot, and then the concrete, slow something way down, a projectile or the explosive blast, and then the concrete will be able to absorb it a lot better. Packed earth berms are a huge deal. If you have a farm or something and you have a heavy equipment, you can actually just stack, pile up dirt on top of something. One of the coolest and most practical ways to build a bunker would just be like a shipping container, and then burying it a little bit, because actually the dirt can protect a lot. We're not talking about bunker buster bombs here, guys. We're talking about a small drone strike. And then really there is a lot of ways to protect against drone strikes. But the number one tip here is to not make yourself a target. And the number two tip is just to not be anywhere where a drone strike is highly likely to occur. So that's utilizing the real gray man theory in your favor. It's so much easier, instead of trying to think, how am I going to get all this stuff to fight against drones when the drones swarm my property? Why don't you just try and be smart about what you can do and not make yourself a target for drone strikes? So again, I have an entire playlist on the real gray man theory, not what you guys see, everything else out there. The real gray man theory that I teach. I have an entire playlist here on this channel on that, but I will teach you now exactly how it applies to surviving a drone strike. Again, questions, comments below if you like this style. I made some notes here to make it really quick and concise, so I'm gonna read off my idea in the most refined version. Pay close attention to what I think you guys should be able to easily understand and how to survive utilizing what I teach as the real gray man theory. Number one, self-invention. You decide the identity you project. So project confidence without vulnerability, but also without provoking an attack as a challenge to an alpha type. What does that mean? That means that confidence without vulnerability is you are not making yourself an easy target. So you look confident. You don't look like you're the loot drop, okay? But you're also not looking at like a tough guy, so that you're projecting yourself as a challenge. So if there's some guy who considers himself an alpha male, he's saying, I'm going to fight this other guy because he looks alpha and I want to be the bigger alpha, okay? So it's a balance. There's stance, which don't take a stance really hardcore, like, for example, terrorists that are radical Muslims are taking a strong stance against killing Christians, and they're making themselves drone targets from the American government. Just an example. Don't take a stance if you don't want to have to deal with drone strikes that is going to make somebody who has drones or the capacity to use drones want to attack you. Seems like basic sense, but that's utilizing the real gray man theory. Don't make enemies unless you're prepared to deal with the consequences, right? Makes sense to me. Visibility. Keep a low profile as much as possible. Just do that in life for all of the benefits of life. Don't be flashy. Don't be out there with everything. Keep something to yourself. Make your moves, and then let the success that you have be so great that people find out about it because you can't hide it, not because you're trying to be flashy about what you have and what you've done. That's how to live a lifestyle to not get killed by drones and to be successful in everyday life. That's what the real gray man theory is. Would anybody want to take you out? Why? Okay, so make it so nobody would want to take you out. The next point here is, yeah, if there's bigger fish to fry, they're probably going to go after the bigger fish. You'll likely live to see another day. Don't make waves. You don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun your friend that you were hiking with. It's a principle here, guys. Context awareness, knowing your city, your area of operation, where do you live, know your neighborhood, know the routes. If there's a drone strike happening over here, have an extra route to get home when GPS doesn't work, when the interstate is super jammed up, okay? Don't go to that necessarily area where there's a huge, Miley Cyrus concert. I don't know who the big popular person is, but hey, if it's terrorists are going to want to go to the Superdome in Texas and kill a bunch of people with a drone strike, don't be there if you're really worried about it. Would this be a likely place for a terrorist attack where I'm at now? Okay. Avoid hotspots to change your risk profile. And what would I do if chaos erupted here where I'm at? What's my battle plan? What's my old tech, World War II? Where am I going if the air raid siren goes off? But don't rely on the government. We don't have a World War II government anymore. They're probably not even going to warn you now. You got to be ready, and you got to set off the air raid siren and tell your family, hit the game plan. Let's go to the storm shed. Let's go to the storage shed, whatever, where you have, a hole dug in the ground. I don't know. If you're really worried about a drone strike, then be ready. Modern battlefield lessons that we can learn from, and as civilians be prepared for. Main threats would be actually surveillance and targeting drones, not necessarily FPV, kamikaze drones. That's not the biggest thing that we have to worry about. Although that might be what we think. The surveillance drones are actually the biggest threat because they're what's going to be really affecting all of us most likely in the future. Surveillance drones and the loss of privacy. Now that manpower is no longer a limiting factor due to AI. So back in the day when I would teach people, how I was a fugitive and how I would, keep off of the grid and how I was able to escape and evade. When I look at escape and evasion, I would always tell people, hey, you just don't have to be the biggest fish out there to fry. If you're not El Chapo, they're not going to dedicate all their resources to looking for you. Well, that's changed now because now they don't need to dedicate all of their resources. They can just have one person putting your information into AI and AI will do all the work. Okay. So it's a game changer now. And then all of that data that the drones are gathering can now easily be used against you by just one person. So the biggest thought here of drones is really our privacy as Americans, and the drone that's flying over your property doing surveillance, how can that be used against you in the future to know all of your habits if they need to know all of your habits, or if they want to know what you do when nobody's looking, et cetera, et cetera. How is the government using drones and what can they do with my information? We can look at China. Years ago now, they had drones that looked like birds that they were using years ago that they look so much like birds that they would birds would fly along with them because birds thought the drones were birds. And then China uses that to completely control and manipulate their society. The government does. And I think that's what, as Americans, we need to worry about. We don't need to be worrying about the Pakistanis doing a drone strike. Maybe they get lucky and do another Al-Qaeda type, 9/11 thing where they smuggle in a bunch of drones and then, do a drone strike on a major arena, sporting arena or something. Hopefully not, God forbid. But what you are almost definitely going to have to deal with in the way of drones is that drone that's going to just be tracking all the drones flying all over the US, tracking all of your information, watching everything we're doing, and then logging it with, now that they don't need people to log it with, now they have AI to do that. So pretty crazy, guys. And all of these guys talking about shotguns, they're just distracting you from where this is really going to hurt, and that's your stolen privacy. So from there, we've got kamikaze FPVs. We've talked about that. They're used against high-value targets in terrorist attacks and in underworld rivalries, like warlords or uprising of military coup, or like a cartels using them against each other. Massive drone strikes as a terroristic attack, which we briefly talked about, or on the modern battlefield, not something you're going to have to worry about so much. You can avoid it just by staying away from areas that might get hit. Be wary at major sporting events, concerts, or gatherings in major cities, as you would for any potential terroristic threat in our modern world. In Africa, almost 1,000 civilians reportedly killed by drone strikes in 6 conflicts just since 2021, mostly by MALE, medium altitude, long endurance drones. This means they're way too high to be shot with a shotgun, and then they can travel way too far for you to even know where they're coming from. Pakistan's attacks we talked about, they used commercial drones with scrap munitions. Same are being used by Mexican cartels. Why defensive devices are a waste for civilians? High-end jammers, microwave arrays, lasers. They cost more than cars, need trained operators. Smart attackers adapt around them, so they might not even be useful if you have them. While you're outfitting your electronic drone defense arsenal, drone tech is evolving to defeat current defenses. We talked about that. Even small drone assemblies rely on swarm attacks, cost-effective and redundant. So a swarm attack, not a shotgun viable defense. Reality check here is that unless you're a sovereign state, which you're not, or a Russian oligarch, which you're not, you can't build a credible anti-drone shield. So don't even try it. Don't even try to go that route. Here is how the real gray man that I teach applies to the drone age, okay? Who's getting attacked by drones? Okay, it's all using your head, area of operation, knowing what's going on ahead of time, analyzing the data, and forming a plan to be prepared. That's the real gray man theory. Terrorists, cartel members, arms dealers, paramilitary, ideological or political leaders, foreign fighters, and the like are who is getting attacked by drones. Don't be that guy. Oh my goodness, Greg, you just told me how not to get killed by a drone strike. Don't be that guy. Well, don't be that guy. The guy that's about to make a stupid comment, don't do it. Don't be that guy. You had one job. You had one rule in life. Don't be that guy, and you're that guy. No. Okay. Where did drone strikes occur? The notes are helping. I'm not going to go off on that guy. Where do drone strikes occur? Where are they occurring? Combat conflict zones, northern Nigeria, the Gaza Strip, Ukraine, Mexico, cartel contested areas, drug or weapon trafficking areas, radical extremist religious strongholds in the Middle East, or that sleeper cell in America, depending if we keep going the way we're going. They might even start using drone strikes on our own soil. They're already using them on American citizens. Now they're going to probably start using drone strikes on American soil. That's what you should be worried about, not Pakistan. They don't have the tech. Or populated first world events in major cities. Okay, when you should be worried about Pakistan is populated first world events in major cities. Don't go to them. It's not worth it. If you're worried about drone strikes, master situational awareness, know your physical and signal environment, know how to read social cues, physical cues, know what happens when the birds are in there doing that in the woods and making this noise and why they do this and that and the other. In the city, know the movements of people, know what's happening here and why and what's going on around you. Knowledge of area of operation and skills. Boom. Blowing your mind? Am I blowing your mind yet? Control your narrative. Don't worry about the next guy. Keep an online, offline identity that is low key. The hot take here, guys, and remember, Bone Tactical told you this first, drone defense is not high tech for this normal average guy. It's low tech. Get rid of your phone. Get rid of everything that you have technology-wise Don't create a profile and you probably won't get hit with a drone strike, and you'll be smarter and you'll know how to learn. You'll learn how to know how to be alive and feel good and live and survive in an environment like this, a natural and wooded environment where drones are not likely to be targeting random civilians. Understand local drone threat vectors, military base, high value site, adjust posture accordingly. Have a plan to hunker down in case of a terrorist attack of any kind. The real defense here, guys, the real drone defense, live smart, present low value, utilize the real gray man theory, learn your surroundings, and it's not about hiding. It's just choosing what you show to others. It's not about blending in. It's about creating your own positive environment to be successful on a daily basis. That success includes not getting killed by a drone. If you found value in this hot take, hit like, subscribe, share it with a friend, please. Drop a comment. That's how I can keep these coming. Let me know what your neighborhood drone risk, what you think your risk level is, and then let me know what my rooftop here in the other side of the world risk is, and whether, you know, or not, I'm right or wrong. I'll read your replies. I'll get involved myself in the comment section as much as possible. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Let me know how you like this new style of video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it. I think that I shared some valuable information. I really do enjoy being able to help others any way that I can. So thanks for watching. Bone out.